he wahine hololio. He wahine hololio oelai. Mauna okina oliolai. He wahine hololio oelai. Mauna okina oliolai. Ahelio hula haolelai, pauna holo e maluai. Ahelio hula haolelai.
Yo, Tyler, this is Jeremiah. I got this really crazy idea. I've been looking at this world's biggest Strava segment, or world's toughest Strava segment, rather, on Mauna Kea. And an old road friend of mine, Alex, runs this touring company on the Big Island. And basically, he said there's an even tougher climb on the north side of the mountain. It's a gravel climb that goes around this, backside of the volcano and then up the access road. And the crazy thing is, he said that no one's ever done this thing. So I'm thinking we should do that. Give this thing a shot. If no one's ever done it, sure, it'll be not just the world's toughest climb, but the world's toughest gravel climb. The first mile and a half of this thing is actually a world ranked climb on that climbing website. So it's literally this 20% grade, for a mile and a half. So it's kind of the most ridiculous way to start. Give me a call back.
I think on the road in good conditions, you're looking at 5.5 hours kind of setup. And so I would at least double that with the dirt stuff.
Okay. All right.
I would say to count at least 9+ hours from YPO.
Awesome. Well, it's getting even better. I imagine it's probably deep trail type stuff.
Yeah. It's unimproved. It's not maintained. So at least the middle section. Yeah. The first kind of bit when you hit it, that's all maintained. But we just you get that big storm, some pretty heavy rains.
Sounds good. And we might even make it to the top.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Okay, guys.
Bye.
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
What makes a cycling route hard? First of all, you have the distance, from point A to point B. Then you have how much climbing there is. We call this elevation gain. Then there's the average gradient. This is how steep the overall climb is. And then there's elevation peak. At sea level, the oxygen content is 21%. At 14,000 feet, it's only 12%. And then there's road surface. This is the terrain that you're riding on. So let's put this into context. Mount Ventoux, the hardest climb in the Tour de France, ranked 85th hardest climb in the world, 13 miles, 7% average gradient, 5,000 feet of climbing, and peaks out at over 6,000 feet of elevation. Mount Fuji, ranked 39th hardest climb in the world, at 18 miles, 7% average gradient, 6,700 feet of climbing, and just under 8,000 feet of elevation. These climbs, though, pale in comparison to the world's number 2 hardest climb. This is in Thailand, the Wuling Pass, at about 15 miles, a staggering 10% average gradient, with 7,855 feet of gain, peaking out at just under 11,000 feet. And this brings us to the number 1 ranked hardest climb in the world, is Mauna Kea, the volcano on the Big Island. That's 42 miles, 6% average gradient, with almost 14,000 feet of gain, peaking out at just under 14,000 feet of elevation. Now those climbs are great and all, but they're full of road. The impossible route is 90% some of the most intense gravel you've ever ridden. At an insane 68 miles, with a total elevation gain of 17,500 feet, with a maximum elevation of 13,800 feet. With the combination of distance, elevation gain, terrain, and maximum elevation, this is the hardest cycling route in the world. No one has ever completed it before. Until now. Hey, I'm here to tell you about the story of climbing maybe the world's hardest cycling segment. It had never been done before by anyone. And Jeremiah Bishop, I don't know why he wanted to bring me out. My feelings for Jeremiah Bishop really were a big up and down throughout this whole thing. When he first initially called me and giving me an opportunity to go to Hawaii, it's like, yes. And then finding out more about the route, my feelings towards him declined because this was insane. Now, Jeremiah Bishop is a world-class rider. Skill-wise, world-class. Fitness, world-class. I am nowhere near his caliber. And to be honest, I wasn't training for some epic adventure like this at all. I was training for our 2020 race season. So I was pretty fit. Like, I was coming in at the time when he gave me the call. I was almost close to a 5 watt per kilo FTP, maybe like 4.8, 4.9. And I was confident, but the more he wanted to tell me about it, the more I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to know all of the scary details. I just wanted to get on the bike and have them come at me as I was riding, because I didn't want to freak myself out. I didn't want to psych myself out. I knew that my body could do this, but my mind is what would stop me. I needed to come into this, deer in the headlights style, and put myself in a situation where not finishing was not even an option. Okay, so what's the right bike for this epic journey? I mean, obviously a road bike is going to be very efficient once you get to the main volcano climb. But it basically would be impossible to run a road bike with the gravel that we're going to be going across. So then you almost lean towards a mountain bike for the gearing, because the type of the steep pitches and the loose like LavaRock is going to be very difficult. So Canyon got Jeremiah and myself dialed in on a grail. Now the top bar, like at the double bar, I've never really been a huge fan of that double bar, but during this adventure I found myself on top of that thing more than any other part of the bar. I actually really fell in love with that weird double bar during this attempt. What in the gear ratio out of the box was the biggest was a 34 in the front and a 34 in the rear. But our guide Alex from Big Island Bike Tours, he was telling me that I should probably run something bigger in the rear. And so Alex actually already had I think it was an 1140 cassette that we were able to get on there. I was really worried that it wasn't going to be able to fit, but it fit on there. It barely fit. But that was looking back, a huge lifesaver to be able to have to instead of a 34-34 to go to 34-40.
What are you getting today?
What do you think?
It's definitely maxed out.
Okay.
It's not that bad though. I mean, the other ideas too, we could throw a derailleur on there.
So stoked.
Yeah.
This was such a not gonna happen pipe dream that I'd just been putting off for like years. And to like actually be here and to see the mountain.
Is there a Strava segment for it?
No, Barry Wicks was going to do it last year, and then we ran out of time, and he was going to come back and do it, and then the mountain got closed. So
Sorry, Barry. Here's the question. How much issue do you have with people coming from like straight up dead sea level to like 14? So like I've raced Breck Epic like 5 times. We've done a lot of these high altitude races.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are coming up from Denver and getting altitude sick. But I mean, like here, you're coming from like 0 to hero level. Do you guys ever see any altitude sickness?
you know, I think that there's definitely the potential for that. And, you know, the physiological changes that happen are pretty hard for a lot of people. So, you know, whether they're out of shape or just can't handle the altitude, it's kind of hard to tell. But there's not a lot of altitude sickness per se.
Okay.
Yeah.
YPU Valley.
Yep.
And then it heads from basically ocean level and climbs up this, right?
Yeah, that little dotted line.
So starting from the ocean, we go up one of the steepest paved climbs in America. We then head on to basically the jungle, which is an extremely technical gravel road through the heart of the jungle. We hit Waimea and turn into the farmland. The farmland consists of a brutal headwind. The gravel is not too technical at this point, but as you come around the base of the volcano, you start to get into much more technical gravel. The elevation pitches up and down as you hit steep volcanic gravel climbs. This is where technical issues could be devastating. But as you get past this part, you connect back onto the main road up the volcano. This is where most people traverse this route. The road is steep, but once you hit the switchbacks past the visitor center, you hit another 2 miles of gravel. It's extremely steep and extremely technical. The last 2 switchbacks are absolutely brutal. Now, if we zoom out, there's 3 ways to get to the top of the volcano. The way we're doing it, 68 miles, or the east approach, which Phil Guyman has, the KOM, under 5 hours. The west approach from Hilo, Levi has under 4 hours and 30 minutes. You said objectively, this is the hardest route in the world.
According to third-party verification.
Third party.
I mean,
Barry Wicks is a pretty important third party.
He's a very important third party. Yeah, multi-time national mountain bike champion, one of my colleagues, as it were. But yeah, there's this website called PJAM that's like, you know, sort of collects all this hill climb data from around the world. It gives a score based off of a French magazine that did like a scoring rate based off of steepness, duration, elevation, all these sort of factors give it points.
Yeah.
And Mauna Kea consistently just outbats everything in the world. I mean, you look at like Alpe d'Huez. I mean, this is like 3 times Alpe d'Huez. And it's like
a single serving.
Yeah, it's just in all in one shot. And I think length should be a factor in that, because I think what we're going to find is that although it doesn't look as steep, this gravel route, I mean, between the terrain and the punches and the drops and like little punchy steep bits in the terrain, it's going to really add up.
Yeah.
And then we're going to hit the very hardest, like, 2 hours of the climb at the end.
Maybe for you, yeah.
I mean, it's going to be like
For the rest of mankind, about 6 hours.
yeah.
Why is that section hard?
Well, I've just been looking at people's like Strava segments on it, and the guy was like, yeah, 4 hours of mountain biking on drop bars is how he described it. You know, this guy's like, yeah, I started at sunrise, and then I made it here, and I was out of water for 2 hours, and then I got to the access road, and then I called my wife, and he didn't even do the like extension to Mauna Kea. He didn't even do the hard part at all. Like,
The crux, Jeremy, the crux.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and I think we're gonna definitely feel it. The right side, the quote-unquote official world's toughest Strava.
That's who we helped.
It's more of a road bike style hill climb with a dirt section. So that one is, I mean, it's probably a little less.
We switched him to a gravel bike on it.
That makes sense.
And then he rode the gravel bike,
but that seems a lot less interesting than this route.
oh, it's so much.
This is
so
going to
much
be
better, dude.
just beautiful.
But so this is where it connects?
Yep, just above
Right
the
there.
main road.
Yeah, you should probably do something about the significance of starting in Whitefield Valley. So that was where like Kamehameha stationed a lot of his troops and lived for a long time. So it's called Valley of the Kings, and so it's got a lot of cultural and historic significance. And then what they call mana, like you can feel that mana when you go into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we went up to go scout it out, we actually ended up, there was a huge wind advisory for the top of Mauna Kea. They were calling for 110 mile an hour gusts at the top. And so, honestly, the project was in major jeopardy.
The road to the summit of Mauna Kea is closed to the public at the visitor information station at an elevation of 9,200 feet due to strong and gusty winds. The winds are sustained in the 60 to 80 mile per hour range and gusts up to 110 miles per hour range. There is ice and snow on the road above the 10,000 foot elevation and creating a dangerous driving situation. The Mauna Kea Rangers will continue to monitor the wind conditions. Mahalo and have a nice day.
Again, you're in Hawaii. You just don't think that it's paradise. There shouldn't be weather, but at 14,000 feet, dude, you're like in space. So we went up and started scouting the, parts of the top and where we were gonna connect from the gravel road onto the main road. It was extremely windy and very difficult to ride. We started to then, after we scouted out and felt out our bikes and had the whole bike setup dialed, we started to go drive up a little bit, and it just wasn't, it was so windy and it was getting late. So we only went up to about 10,500 feet. What's so weird is, dude, I almost passed out. It was really strange. So I'm sitting in the car, and then all of a sudden I'm feeling like I'm passing out. I'm like, this is not good. Why am I doing this? And I had to kind of like lean my head against the rest of the Jeep. And then I sort of like, I didn't go all the way out, but I was barely conscious. So that freaked me out, man. That only at 10,000 feet, and I hadn't really had like a crazy day, that I was already experiencing some major issues with elevation. So we get back to our house and I start packing for the next night.
You want it?
What are these?
I was asking him, are there any like real health dangers to doing this? I was like joking. And then he was talking about that there's like polyedema. I don't know what he said. But something that you can get like fluid in your chest, or even like have your brain swell from like going all the way up to elevation. And it's like what usually is the problem is going from super low to super high. So not a big deal if you're like at 5,000 and go to 10,000, but if you're at 0 and go to 14,000. So then I kind of freaked out about it. Now, food-wise, nutrition-wise, I'm really confident in my long endurance nutrition program. It's the same program that I've used for Climb to Kaiser, Belgian Waffle, Dirty Kanza, the Hammer Fondo. Really anything that's like 6+ hours. That means a ton of beta fuel from Science and Sport. That means a lot of gels from Science and Sport. Because the gels from Science and Sport, the viscosity is so thin, it's almost like water. So it's very easy to go down. We have a full sack. So I'm able to have all the different water, because there is no water on the route. There's nowhere to stop and refuel. So again, to do this, you really need a sag. If you don't have a sag, and maybe that's something that we do later, we try to do like a self-supported version of this, but boy, that would be so difficult. I probably had something around 4,000 calories that I packed that would be in the Jeep with us. But the plan was to basically, again, just try to take in as much liquid calories as possible and then drink as much as possible so that I can be hydrated all the way to the top. It's 4:30 in the morning and I didn't sleep very well last night. I was like super, just like before a big thing, right? You're just super nervous, just tossing and turning. I would say I probably got like a solid 2 hours of sleep, which is not great, but it's just, what can you do? You know what I mean? I got in a bit early. I just couldn't get myself to go to sleep. Love you, babe.
Love you. We'll do all this stuff.
Oh, yep. Coming down to the beach, I was hit with a wave of realization, I'm probably not going to finish this. For how difficult everything that I've seen so far, and then the first initial 2 miles of this freaking ride is like average 20%. So basically throw your pacing out the window. Just to stay upright, you're going to have to do 300, 400 watts. I got really nervous. I was confident going into it, but as we got down to the beach, which, boy, it was so beautiful. It was unreal down there. I was getting really scared.
There you go. The ceremonial part has now become dipping your entire feet into the water.
Well, shoes are soaked, bro. The shoes are soaked.
We haven't even started pedaling, dude, and our shoes are soaked. Our shoes and socks are completely soaked with ocean water. So then it's like, okay, great. And then Jeremiah goes on to give a pretty beautiful speech about what we're about to do.
You have to just look around and see this is one of the most beautiful places in the world where you get to see the raw forces of nature in action. And to start where the river meets the ocean and then to climb to the point at which all rivers start, I mean, that's just like powerful. And so I think today we honor the place that we ride through. Put in a good effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
And now, keep in mind, I'm with Alex, who's an Olympian, and with Jeremiah Bishop, who's a world-class pro. I mean, these two guys, Alex had done the Tour of California 12 years. I mean, I'm so out of my element. So I definitely don't want to let these guys down, right? I don't want to be the guy that everyone's waiting for, and it's like, God, we shouldn't have even brought him. So I'm really trying to make sure that I'm going to fit in here. Alex says go, and we start. I clip in, and now I had all this sand in my cleat. So we start riding through the black beach sand, and I tried to turn right, and the front end sinks, and I fall over in slow motion as I can't unclip. So I make it 2 or 3 pedal strokes and just slowly tip over onto the side.
Which way are we going? Good, the sand.
Mile one.
I couldn't even make it 3 pedal strokes into this without crashing. And I'm sure that these guys are just like, what did we do? Why did we bring him? This dude's such a squid, bro. Once you start and you get off the beach, the very first obstacle is the steepest paved road in America. And by paved, I mean, this is loosely calling it paved. The average over 1.5 miles is over 20%, with pitches like at 35%. Throw your pacing out the window, buddy, because as soon as you hit this thing, it is, and it's wet, it's like the road is wet, it's rough. On the first little switchback, I fell over again. I couldn't unclip because of the sand. This first climb alone is a top 100 rated climb in the world. It was so steep that you're actually getting an arm workout just to hold yourself in position.
Mile 1.2.
Oh.
With a 40 back here? I think it's a 42, is it? No, it's a 40. All right, guys, mile 2 down.
The first 2 miles, dude. I mean, it's beautiful. I'm running a 34-40, and it's like, dude, I was probably doing 40 RPMs. I mean, max out my heart rate. Shit, dude. We're literally 2 miles into this thing. Okay, so here's the funny thing, right? Is like, we dipped our toes in the water and then the water came, and anyway, I'm running road shoes. Bro, sand everywhere. So I can't unclip right now. I can't unclip, and I've crashed twice.
The next big obstacle is the jungle. So this, on the map, is a public road. It's open to anyone. But when we got there, there was a gate you had to jump. Alex assured us that it's open, it's public land. We're not trespassing or anything. But we did have to jump this gate, and there was wild boars like howling right next to us. It was so scary.
You see him?
No, I don't want to see them. There's some wild boars right there, dude. Howling. Your wild boars mess you up. Wild boars mess you up. Bro, the first 2 miles were so much. They were so much.
We get to another gate, like where there's a little canal, and you could go left or right, and we're looking at on the Wahoo on which way to go. And it says to go straight, but we're like, there's nothing straight. That's a jungle ahead of us.
All right, so this ride is bound to have some snafus. Now the map here shows straight. But as you can see,
we don't have the keys, but I think we're going back onto public property here, so we just need to keep going up.
But how do you jump that barbed wire?
We go around it. Small deduction. To hang like this.
Yep.
This is kind of a strategy here.
Got it.
There'll be a slight revision in the future for this route. That's why I told you to ride mountain bike shoes.
All good.
Yeah.
All good.
This is like what are you, Tough Mudders or adventure races?
Bro, I'm so stoked right now.
So we get around this gate and we're going through, like, we're bushwhacking it. I mean, we are chopping our way through a legit Hawaiian jungle.
Crabby grass stuff. Well, it looks better up here.
I mean, it's not called the impossible route because it's easy.
Yeah. Now it's starting to all make sense.
You got it. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta get me walking at least once. It won't be the last time, I think.
There was a road here at one point, but it's like a 4x4 road. The gravel here is so marbly, and there's like a rain rut down the middle. It was so technical. There's roots, like tree roots sticking out that are wet. It took so much skill to just stay upright and a ton of power.
Dude, yeah, I mean, okay, so far, part of this impossible, why it's impossible, is just straight the legit skill level it takes to keep riding your bike, man. I mean, Jeremiah is world class. I am not world class. Ah! World class. World class. I mean, hey, this shit is bonkers, bro.
And I would say this was probably the hardest part of the ride, but at least it was in the beginning, right? So you're fresh, and it was so beautiful. Like, this is what you expect. If you're gonna come to Hawaii and ride gravel roads, this is exactly what I had expected.
The longer this ride goes on, the more I'm realizing why no one has done this before. But boy, am I motivated as a son of a gun to get this done, dude. I mean, as of right now, I'm feeling really good, but that's probably a lot of adrenaline. And I really got to try to pace myself. I kind of getting a little ahead of myself, kind of going maybe because of Jeremiah. Maybe I'm going a little too hard. I'm already cleared 2 bottles. I've already cleared 2 bottles. So now 600 calories right there. We popped out on a real road. We're gonna hit this little town and then get back on the gravel and go up the freaking volcano, dude. Insane.
Now the farmland part is where you get to, I guess, let's say the south base of the volcano. And then you're gonna have to ride all the way around it to come back up it. And the wind is just a bustling. Like, it is very difficult.
The wind is brutal, dude. Can you hear that wind? This is like 50-mile-an-hour winds, bro. I can't even go straight. Jesus.
So not only are you having to ride on the gravel, and so, you know, that's difficult, but then there's the wind. And I think at the time we started the farmland section, we had been riding for almost 3 hours, and I think we covered 6 miles. 6 miles. That's how crazy the gravel and how steep all this stuff is. You're not traversing land very quickly.
So you gone through 2 bottles?
Mm-hmm.
What are you drinking there, Jeremiah?
Some goo.
Some goo?
Yeah. And some acclimate. This altitude acclimation drink. I don't know if it does anything, but yeah, trying to stay top up with fluids is super important. So I'll make a couple pit stops like this and we'll really be thankful we did it later. That road below Mud Road was just absolutely insane. This is way harder than I thought it was going to be. And I thought it was going to be the toughest gravel climb, or one of them in the world. But yeah, it's starting with that steep of a climb. My legs feel like I went to the gym or ran like a 10K. But at the same time, it's absolutely spectacular. I mean, it's amazing to get to do something like this. Dream come true. Just so awesome. All right, let's go.
How would you rate that headwind right now?
It is blasting. It's like gonna be pretty stiff here for a long while, and then hopefully as we get around the side of the mountain, more on the leeward or windward side, it'll be a little less actually.
So me and Jeremiah are kind of, you know, trying to draft off each other, but the wind is just howling. It's pretty cold, to be honest. It is a little overcast, and so, you know, we're throwing our vests on and we're just trucking along. The farmland part was very difficult mentally because you could see the volcano. You could see where you were headed. And that seemed so impossible, like, because you can see it. And it looks relatively close, but you know it's not. And you know, almost that you can see into time, right? It's very different. Like, for most rides, you don't see where you're going to be 6 hours from now, 7 hours from now. You don't see that. You just see the next turn or the next climb or whatever. So you can sort of like chunk it and be like, well, just make it to this part, just make it to this part. But the whole time on the farmland section, you see the frickin' top of the volcano. And you're just like, there's no way I'm going to get to that. That's impossible.
down there.
It's been so windy for so long. Just non-stop wind, dude. Kind of over it. Over the wind, bro. I'm over the wind.
And now again, at this point, I started freaking out about the oxygen. Now I live at 3,500 feet and I routinely ride up to 8,000 feet of elevation. But where I live is covered in trees. So I don't know if it makes a difference about the oxygen content when there's so many trees producing oxygen, even though the pressure is low and you know the percentage of oxygen you're getting in is less. I wonder if it's different in a mountain scene at 8,000 feet than it is in a desolate scene at 8,000 feet. Because around 6,000 feet, which isn't really that high, your body is starting to process and go, hey, we're not getting enough oxygen. And then you start to panic. There's literally a panic that sets in, almost like snorkeling or scuba diving, where you sort of freak out because the flow of oxygen isn't right. And so I was having a full-on panic attack while riding. And so then I was trying to jokingly tell this to Jeremiah, like, it's kind of weird, right? Like the air sort of tastes weird. I don't know why I said it tastes weird. But in this farmland, there isn't really any trees. It's all just wide open spaces. And it's so windy that I guess I mean, it just makes sense that maybe it's blowing any oxygen that's there away. You know, I don't know. But I'm trying to, like, tell Jeremiah that I think I'm going to die. And so, you know, I'm like, oh, the air tastes weird. And so then he says, yeah, it's really something you got to battle with. I've been battling with it for the last hour. You got to just stay calm and you just got to breathe normally and don't think about it. And I'm so glad that I asked him that, because if he was experiencing it, you know, then great. But if he wasn't experiencing it and I felt like alone in this feeling, I don't know, dude. I was like about to stop, to be honest. I was like freaking out that I couldn't breathe. And I felt like I was going to pass out. And then there's a sign at the top that's like, people die. And Jeremiah had already told me that, like, you can get brain aneurysms. And I was like, quickly going from a point of like, oh, this is just going to be a hard ride, to could I actually die? Is that a possibility? And yes is the answer. Yes, there is a possibility of getting like a brain aneurysm being this high. And then it's one thing to just go up to elevation, but then to be completely and utterly destroyed by the time you get there. So if it's 6,000 feet, I'm already having a panic attack because of the low level of oxygen, which 6,000 feet isn't that high. I ride at 6,000 feet all the time. It's never an issue whatsoever. I honestly think that I excel at riding at elevation. But for whatever reason, in this frickin' farmland, I'm having a meltdown. But Jeremiah really kind of assured me that it was all good, and we just kept trucking along. Right towards the end of the farmland section, you know, we had stopped a bunch to pee, and we weren't making good time. And so Jeremiah was like, hey, I gotta forge ahead here at this point, and I want to make sure that I make it before dark. And so he kind of takes off.
Oh, little chunky.
Getting mean.
And I was totally fine with that. I told him, and I knew, I'm going to stick to my pace, I'm going to stick to my course. I'm staying on my program. And what I learned from Dirty Kansas, which I'm so glad that I had that failure in Dirty Kansas, because the mindset of just keep pedaling, and in an amount of time you'll be done, that was just ringing in my head the whole time. Just keep pedaling. No matter how fast you're going, no matter how hard you're going, keep pedaling. This is the last section of gravel before we hit the volcano climb. And LavaRock is so marbly and it's so loose that it is very, very difficult to maintain your verticalness, to just stay upright. And the trails we were going up were very technical. And I'm having a real hard time just even making it up this. I mean, the amount of watts you're having to do to just stay upright is significant. And so we're something like 6 hours in, 6 hours in, and you're burning matches. You know, you're doing 300-400 watts just to get up some of these sections.
We're halfway. We're halfway, and we've been riding for about 5 hours. That's insane. We're halfway.
But I have no nutrition. I'm like getting low. I'm out of water. I'm out of my gels. I'm out of all my food that was on me. But I need to get to that Jeep. I need to refuel. I need to restock. I'm feeling really good though. Like, I mean, I'm happy. I've got legs. Everything seems to be going really, really well at this point. And I'm thinking the whole time, all I gotta do is get to the volcano climb where I can get off this gravel. Because, bro, we've been on gravel all day. And, I mean, the bike had been handling it, no worries. So happy that I had that 40 on the rear because I was using it the whole time. But I was done with the rattling of gravel, man. I was over it. Let me see some road. Like, I want to see roads so bad. And I'm thinking that once I get to the road, once I get to the volcano climb, that's when I'm going to uncork it. And Jeremiah is about an hour ahead of me. And I'm thinking that once I hit that climb, I'm going to stand and just start ripping. I'm going to make all this time up the volcano climb. That was the thought.
Yeah, man.
You there yet?
Almost.
It's gonna take a long time to explain what just went down. By far, one of the craziest things I've ever done on a bike, ever. Did it, I made it, the impossible climb is possible. Don't make class limits for yourself. You can do anything. If I can do this,
I'll tell you this, dude. If this bike blew up in flames right now, I'd be so pumped. Like if everything just broke at once, I could have an excuse. Dude, I have 5,000 feet of climbing to climb right now. We've climbed 11,000. We're at 9,000 feet of elevation. Dude, my mind is like playing tricks on me, dude. I am in bad mental health. I don't have any words. I'm gonna make it to the visitor center, and I don't know if I can continue, dude.
we're gonna drop down and see where Vegan Cyclist is. Tyler is gotta be in just like the world of hurt. I mean, I think we'll catch him at the upper section, which is the worst section of the dirt climb. It is just absolutely a mind bender. I mean, this whole route is just like mental, just such a challenge mentally. I just can't even put into words the different levels and emotions you go through. You're elated, you're flying, you got a tailwind, you've got 3 hours of headwind. I mean, that is just 3 hours into the wind, like just blasting it in your face. And then you know, of course, that start, the snake, this like climb up from Waipio Valley, it's just absolutely insane. You know, all these different emotions. You're kind of frustrated, you're kind of happy, and then you go through I'm gonna make it. The switchbacks, miles and miles up. I was like, I'm not gonna make it. I started to really think I wasn't gonna make it. I was lightheaded, seeing spots, dizzy. I almost pulled over to sit down. I mean, I was really having some challenges out there. And I consider myself really good at altitude, and I've won actually 10 big pro races above 10,000 feet. So I have no idea what kind of condition we're gonna find Tyler in, but it's not gonna be pretty. Let me tell you that, I guarantee it.
And this sounds super hippie, but it's so weird that who is this other thing inside of me talking? You know what I mean? Like when you're like, oh, I gotta wake up early. Then what is the other person going, nah, dude, just sleep in. And then you're fighting with yourself. Why do you have to team up? Right? You don't get on the same page. Like if we both wanted to get to the top of the climb, then everything's good. But why is there why is there a persona hidden deep down that's just like negative Nelly? And he's winning right now.
Can't let him. Not yet.
You know, look, I always often have tons of vegan excuses, and there's always some reason why I didn't go to my full potential. Something that's always kind of just some weird fluke thing that's always seems to happen. This ride had 0 vegan excuses. I have never ridden better my entire life. I paced wonderfully. I hydrated great. I fueled fantastic. I came in pretty fit. I mean, I know my body could work. But towards this end bit, my mind was what I knew was going to stand in my way. And that's such a bummer, right? To be like, because it's my mind, dude. I should have control over my mind. You know, there's two beasts inside, and one is like, you got this, and the other one's like, no way, dude, you're gonna die. But it's so weird that these two entities are in my own head. Why are they not on the same page? Why do I have a part of me that wants success and another part of me that wants failure? And I just started getting so hippie, man, about how, why are there these two entities in me? Why am I having this battle within myself? I am me. I should be able to control both of these. I should be able to have the doubts in my mind just, dude, go away. I should be able to stop them. It's my brain, dude. I should have control over it. Is this what hypoxia looks like? And then I started thinking about how amazing Hawaii is, and like, that for all we know, there is no other place like this in the universe, right? That we are on this little blue marble that is so precious, and there could literally be nothing else that exists like this. And there could literally be, within the span of billions of years, never be another time like this. I am getting hippie, dude, okay? And so, thinking about it on the cosmic scale of both time and space, right? This moment is so rare. And that's the little seed that got planted while laying on the ground, pretty much dying, thinking, man, I'm not going to have another opportunity to do this. And if you look out on the cosmic scale, the fact that I have the opportunity to climb up to the top of this volcano from an ocean, basically in paradise, when our planet's not a big ball of lava, or, you know, there is no oxygen because it's raining iron, you know, like other planets, right? Like, it was just, this is such a rare moment and such a potentially something that doesn't even exist, that I have to utilize this opportunity. And so I just said basically to myself, look, one, I don't really want to post that I failed. Like, that's a big thing, right? I don't want to make the post about how I didn't make it. And I knew that my body's going to do fine. I am crushing physically. My body has no issues. My knee is good. My fitness is good. My nutrition is good. My brain, my mind is what is shutting me down. So I just said, hey, mind, fuck off. And I essentially astroplaned out of my physical form, dude. And what's weird is I don't really have a lot of memories from the visitor center to the top, which was basically about 2.5 hours. But when I look back on it, it's more like I filmed a guy do it than that I did it, because I no longer was in my mind. I left. And so it was just one of those things where I took my consciousness and I put it in the future. Future me is going to be so much happier that I finish this. So just be future you. And I know it's like so much easier to say than it is to do, but maybe with the low oxygen, I did it. And so I got back on the bike and I started riding.
I was telling myself this is the last 2 hours I ever have to ride a bike. And of course I'm gonna ride a bike again. But in this moment, I'm lying to myself, dude, that I just put out 2 more hours and you can be done forever.
It's calling me, like the rainbow. It's calling me, like the rainbow. The rainbow.
What's that?
Top of the world.
I honestly don't remember anything. Like my whole life is all condensed to just this one moment. You know what I mean?
Oh, so sweet.
I really wanted to cry at the top, but I am just void of fluids and emotion.
I mean, this is just one of those things that it'll take a lot of time to sink in. I mean, just nothing has been done like this. YPO. World's first for the impossible hill climb. I thought really it was impossible for a few times there. Like, really impossible. That was unbelievable.
Made it.
To be basically on top of the world, to see the sunset through the clouds. And I just remember glancing at it and it being so unbelievably beautiful. And I just go, wow, that's some spiritual ass shit. Where's the Jeep? Let's go home. That was it. That was all I had.
It's hard to explain. There's just no words for what this was, and for how many times I was 100% certain, your boy's not finishing. And this is one of those things where it's like you just need a team around you. And I honestly wanted the bike to explode into pieces, and then I'd have an excuse to not finish. But it just kept trucking along. And then you can't stop when everyone's put all this time and energy. Like, how dumb to get 1 mile from the top and be like, I'm it, that's it, let's go home. But I mean, we honestly made it within like maybe a 5-minute window, right? Like,
Yeah, 5 minutes.
The drive down, again, I couldn't really process what had just happened. It was so beyond my physical capability, so beyond my technical skill set. And again, like I said, I had to push my brain out, my consciousness out of my brain. And so it was very similar to have watched someone be successful versus be that person. So there wasn't, I wanted to cry at the top. I was hoping that I'd get to the top and I'd cry and it'd be this really cool shot. I was devoid of any emotions. There was no emotions whatsoever. There was no like, yes, woo. It was just that, just nothing, dead inside, which is kind of a bummer, right? I mean, for how epic this was. It's impossible though to really tell you what it was like because of the elevation, of the terrain, of the distance, of the time, of the intensity. Like everything that makes something difficult, this is all set to 9 out of 10, right? Elevation probably 10 out of 10, but it's just, there isn't anything about this route that is easy. And it takes a full range of skill set to be able to get it done. Now, right now, she's a little haggard. I think she's beautiful, okay? But we're in the midst of this crazy corona thing, and so our kids are home, and she's been full gas with the kids. Scoot over a little bit. So, you know, she just wants you to know. She's not.
These are the clothes that I slept in, and my hair is not done.
Okay. She's not even trying. So if you think she's pretty, you should wait till she gets ready.
That's so dumb.
So tell me from an outsider point of view, which you didn't go to the top, we would drive and you would see the top of the volcano way off in the distance. What do you think, and you know me, and how I'm just a normal whatever, not anything special. So me finishing this and completing this, being the second person ever to do this route, how does that make you feel towards me, or what is your thoughts on it?
It's definitely hard to believe, like the size of the volcano when you compare it to our mountains. It's really crazy to think that you did that. But then it's also neat because it's just something, a life goal that you accomplished. I'm sure I have life goals that will never be accomplished. I have like the simple goals of have a family and have kids that most people accomplish, but you have this goal that you accomplish that how many people will in their life. You know what I mean?
So does it make you jealous?
No, I definitely don't want to climb a mountain on a bike, so hell no. It doesn't make me jealous.
But I mean more of like that I got to
No.
realize a life, not this was like a life achievement that I thought about all the time, but
Right.
to like put that badge on me, you know what I mean?
No, it doesn't make me jealous because it makes me feel like that we did something together. I mean, I didn't achieve anything, but you did, and that's good enough for me.
Get yourself a good girl like her. Thank you. A huge shout out to Whoop. Whoop actually has helped me choose the day, because we had about a week. We had about 10 days we could have done this in. And Whoop was able to show me when I was going to be at my best. Now, I didn't really talk about this, but the travel to Hawaii from Bass Lake, disaster. An absolute disaster. We had our 2 kids with us, our little 2-year-old. We got to the airport at 5 in the morning. It was delayed for fog, which meant we missed our connection, which meant layovers, which meant we actually had to change the destination of where we were flying to. Ubers and oh my goodness, I could do a whole video on the travel disaster that was. And so what ended up happening is that after about an 18-hour travel day, I could see on my Whoop my recovery so low. And it actually took 3 full days before my recovery came back up. And on Thursday, the day we rode, was the best that I had been feeling, according to Whoop, in the last like 2 weeks. So I was really able to actually use, like, data is one thing to be cool to look at in past, to like look back on. But the fact that I was able to predict good fitness via the Whoop, and not just through training peaks on like power or heart rate, this was overall stresses. Because essentially, according to my training peaks, my travel day was a recovery day. Psych, it was a recovery day, dude. You want to be with a 2-year-old screaming on 3 different airplanes out the whole day? She just said sorry. So, huge thanks to Whoop, man. I can't believe I did it. I can't believe we did it. You helped me do it. Because without you, I would have quit. If I could have just had only me know that I quit, that'd been fine. But for me to have to tell you that I quit, not gonna happen. Stay safe, guys, and as always, vegan cyclist. You.
you.